Hi, and welcome to West Play's podcast. This week, we're starting a new series about shade structures. I'm your host, Shannon, and the premise of this podcast is for me to learn more about the playground industry, so I'm super excited to talk to different people in different positions that can share some insight about playgrounds. Today I'm talking with Bryden Rowe, the CEO of West Play's partner company, Shade Sales Canada.
That's great.
Could you introduce yourself and what you do?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Bryden Rowe, the co-founder. My dad and I started a company called Shade Sales Canada. And don't let the Canada fool you. We cover all of North America and even into the UK sometimes for sales. So we produce and manufacture our own top quality shade products, whether they be shade sails or shade structure kits for things like playgrounds. Many times it's kits. So we do that and we ship those from our beautiful Revelstoke, British Columbia town to those places, North America and all through Canada. And then further to that, we're not only producing, but we're also designing and consulting on how to build shade structures for various applications, playgrounds, schools, daycares, residential, multiple market hits.
All right. Very cool. That sounds like you've grown quite big, actually, since.
Well, yeah, it might sound a little grander than it is. It is certainly grown big from what my dad and I started. I used to live in Australia myself, and the idea, Australia, New Zealand, those shade sails, shade structures are everywhere, just due to the climate, of course. And so we thought, what a great concept to bring back to Canada. And so we started just as father and son, and we're importing sails from Australia, and then started to manufacture ourselves in about 2012. Now my wife and I are the owners. My dad's retired. Although he's still a founder, he's retired and living the nice life, and we're keeping things going and growing and manufacturing. And yes, we keep growing every year. We're not a massive company. We have about 20 staff at the most, in an off season about 10. So we're not a huge company, but we're growing and covering more customers that require more staff, etc.
Yeah, very cool. That's awesome. It makes total sense that something like that would be popular in Australia, and brilliant to bring it over to North America. I know parts of BC are super sunny.
Well, that's it. I mean, the one fellow that when we first started in 2001, when my dad and I started getting our toes wet on this, the fellow we were working with in California said, "Oh, no one's ever going to buy shade sails seasonally, so you're going to have a bit of a grind there." But in Canada, most people will spend a lot of time and money on their seasonal enjoyment. So being out in the summertime, you have to have the right protections for doing the summertime activities. And so in Canada and places in the US as well, even though it's seasonal, you still have to have the shade for kids to play in a playground in order to be safe. Because as we know, in this climate, we can get drastic heat as we can in Australia all year round almost. So it's almost a necessity in some cases, but of course in the case of residential, it's a luxury to have the shade in the seasons when you need it.
Sure, yeah. And I guess with more people moving outside now during the pandemic, has that had any impact? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. The pandemic, I mean, we're going to have to keep talking about this for years now, but we didn't know what was going to happen with the business when that hit, like a lot of people. But of course, as people also know now, that a lot of people were restricted to their homes and thus thinking of home projects and stuff. So that kept our business going immensely. And yes, people have been wanting to sort of in the home situation. We've had customers call and say, I can't have guests unless they're outside, so I want to have better outside space. So from the residential standpoint, that's been that. And of course, restaurants, schools, and daycares kind of go without saying what their needs are, and that is outdoor classrooms and extended outdoor play areas that can be safe. And we also do not just shade, but we do waterproof coverings and even all season coverings. So depending on budgets, we align the customer with that. So yes, certainly the pandemic has increased demand for those types of things, and we can fulfill. Luckily, we have a broad range of product, not just shade. So we can get into just waterproof, as I say, or if you want it all year round, even in snow conditions, we can engineer and build things that as well. So that's certainly, the pandemic has increase the demand for that type of thing.
That's really cool, because I know I'm kind of in the northern regions where Canada mostly is. The summer can be kind of short. So that's really cool that you guys have all season and rain-proof things and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, the Canadians, they, as in some northern parts of the US, they try to maximize their outside time, even though if it's a bit rainy, inclement weather on the coast, say Vancouver weather, we can do structures that are waterproof so people can still use a space when it's fairly mild outside, an outdoor playground space or an outdoor classroom. So certainly that type of option is great for our climates.
Yeah, of course. That makes so much sense. I'm going to stop the first segment here. So thank you. And I hope everyone will join us in the next segment as well.
No, thank you, Shannon. Look forward to it.
If you have questions or comments about the podcast, please email me at shannon@westplay.ca If you'd like to know more about shades for home, playground, or other facilities, please reach out to operations@westplay.ca or call 604-424-4168. Background music is from silvermansound.com, Outdoors in Summer by Shane Ivers.